Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
On today's Camper Report Show, we are going to talk with a gentleman who took his business on the road with him, but more importantly, will show us how you can take your business on the road with you.
Well, and I'm going to talk to Trey Miller, VP of Marketing for Jayco, and talk about the Jayco 4 product lines that have been out there for over 50 years.
A prominent name in the industry.
Right.
For sure.
Iconic.
So we get all those stories from our friends at RV Business in Woodalls, and we want to thank you for watching today and ask that you just hit that red button down in the bottom right and subscribe and like. And Bob will be back with more right after this. Where?
At the Camper Report Show.
And welcome back to the news segment here on the Camper Report Show. We get all our news from RV Business and Woodalls Campground Management. And Bob, you know what? RV news, camping news it's really mainstream news now. And it's proven by the fact that just recently on Fox Morning News, they did a whole segment on why RVing vacations are still a great value in spite of gas prices and everything else.
Yeah, I saw that one last weekend and was surprised to see because it was kind of their guest was Kurt, the cyber guy, who's on every weekend with computers and toys and what have you. And he was the guy that was explaining it because of the new technologies, but also the low cost when you compare it to hotels. And, we've always used that discussion in the industry. And some people would question it, but you cannot question it anymore these days with the cost of hotels and the cost of air travel. That it's no contest, and there's so many different ways to enjoy the RV itself. But we'll put a link down below to that.
Link will be down there.
On Fox and Friends. Yeah,
you can watch it when you're done watching this show. Now, don't go off our show and watch that Fox and Friends because we're more fun to watch anyway.
Don't leave us.
And along those lines. There used to be a term a few years ago, staycations. Now the travel industry is using a new term called nearcations. Talk about that new phrase.
Yeah, it's an interesting phrase. I mean, I kind of like the staycation, but I guess we'll go with it if that's what they're doing. I think it may have been Outdoorsy that coined it because it's on a press release for Outdoorsy, which is a very large peer-to-peer network that's growing by leaps and bounds, and they're very creative with their product offerings also. But they recently surveyed, they found that 58% of Americans have been saving and setting aside more money to keep their vacation hopes afloat. And 72% are dipping into vacation savings, and 58%, this is where the nearcation comes in, 58% plan to vacation closer to home this summer to beat out inflation and rising gas prices. So they're always going to vacation, they're always going to go, but they're leaning towards RVs, they're leaning towards the campgrounds and the rental units, and they're going to just stay closer to home, which happens when we have inflationary times or recessions that have. I mean, even in the worst recessions, they still go camping, and it's just that respite from the day-to-day living and the challenges that people have these days with the economy.
Right. And our friend John Hansen, John Hansen, the founder of Winnebago, said, look, you cannot take sex, booze, or weekends away from the American public. Now, RVs provide you
in that same order.
That third, at least they provide you with the third option on that. And with that being said, talking about people noticing RVing for the first time, more and more Wall Street money is heading to the campground. Talk about that phenomenon, that amazing financial phenomenon.
The numbers are really staggering, and it seems that every month we hear more news about investment companies or large-scale investors, real estate investment trusts coming into the industry, and they see this as a tremendous growth potential, not now because of the recession, but in the future, the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to see a tremendous amount of money coming into the industry. One of the examples they gave was that the Camp Margaritaville resorts that are being built, one of the loans on the most recent one in Florida was $37 million to build it. And this came out of an investment trust that had $265 million in mortgages to go out and put out into the industry.
And let's
And
face
those
it, Bob, when
yeah.
Margarita people put a campground together, this is not your grandfather's campground that has a fire pit and a swimming pool that closes at 5 o'clock at night. I mean, these are resorts.
Well, they are resorts, and they're intended to compete against hotels and motels and other resorts. The campgrounds and RV resorts that are being built now are destination locations. You look at what Blue Water Development has done, what KOA is doing with some of their larger resorts. So they intend to get people in there. They stay there, and they're there for the entire vacation. So they have to have more amenities, but people are demanding. They're not building these things hoping that people are going to come.
No.
There's studies.
These
They've
are
seen
studies.
it in the indoor hospitality industry. No reason why it cannot work very favorably in the outdoor hospitality.
A huge one in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, in the Great Smoky Mountains, which is one of the top 10 national parks in the United States. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And speaking of interesting aspects of the RV lifestyle, there's a new community that opened up actually right here in New England, up in the Bar Harbor area, called Acadia Wilderness Lodge, and it's yurts. Now, we've heard of cabins, we've heard of RVs, we've heard of other things like that. But describe what a yurt is.
Well, it's kind of a round tent with a little, peaked roof on it, but it's you've seen glamping tents that look like a 4x8 piece of plywood with a bed and what have you. These are just in the round environment. And this company wanted to build a campground, and they wanted to have a quiet place in Acadia. Acadia, they get 3.5 million visitors a year. They get cruise ships down in Bar Harbor. I mean, between Memorial Day and Labor Day, that place is hopping. So They wanted to have something quiet, but they've been fighting with the town, which is Tremont, Maine, to get a campground. So in the interim, they started out with 8 yurts, and they wanted to have a quiet village near Acadia. But that's not the only one that's up there. Just down in Greenfield, on Moosehead Lake, there is our friends Jeremy and Jessica Hargraves, who own Northeast Whitewater with white. What do they call it? White river rafting and
whitewater rafting.
They do moose tours and moose hunts. Then they actually have, beside their facility, they also have a little village of yurts down at Moosehead Lake. And
there you go.
The younger generations like these. It's still outdoors, but it's kind of a fun place to stay.
Yeah. And you know what? All the mainstream media is filled with negative news about high gas prices. But the fact is, an RV vacation is still your best value out there. And we want to let you know to don't put it off. You don't know what next year holds. And besides, who knows if these gas prices are going to rise and stay rising or stay risen, whatever the word is. But you know what? Do it now. Don't put.
No, I tell you, we don't ever like to see the negative factors of the economy impact us, but this is going to help the RV industry grow even more, because people that don't have an RV, that are looking at $300, $400, $500 a night hotel rooms, they're going to go and rent a cabin at KOA or rent an RV. Most campgrounds have a rental RV, a park model, or even a travel trailer. And they're going to go and spend a week in a campground, even though they don't own an RV. And we're going to get more people joining the lifestyle that way, who are going to, when the economy turns around, going to go back out and buy their own RV. So life is good. Life is good in the RV.
Yep. There it is. All the news that's fit to print or print to fit, whatever it is. But anyway, we give it to you straight with no editorial content to it. And we want to thank you for listening to the news segment. Stay with us. We've got 2 great segments coming up right here and right now. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report Show.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the U.S. and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard, pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out rvlife.com to learn more.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report Show, and I'm very happy to have Trey Miller, Vice President of Marketing, right? With
Correct.
Jayco.
Yes.
All right, we haven't seen each other for a while, but we've known each other for a while. So Trey, welcome to the show. What have you been up to?
Just keeping busy, Bob. Yeah, we were reminiscing. Yeah, it's been 20 years or so since we've met. So we've known each other a little while. Yeah, been busy doing marketing here at Jayco with the Jayco family of companies. Coming out of the pandemic, it's been a lot to get back in front of customers. So it's an exciting time.
Give us a little bit of your background and bring us up to Jayco for those people who, because sometimes we don't get to see, or the consumers don't get to see the people behind the scenes.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. So I started my business, way back when we met at little wholesale distributor called DTI in Middlebury, Indiana, and was purchased by Stag Parkway, a large distributor, which is now part of LKQ, Keystone NTP Stag. There's a lot of words in that name, but I was their vice president of marketing services. Ultimately, that was down in Atlanta, Georgia. Decided I wanted to kind of be closer to family and had two small children. So moved back to Northern Indiana and started with Atwood Mobile Products, maker of ranges and water heaters and so forth. And was then purchased by Dometic, became their vice president of marketing for the Americas. And then after about 10 years, decided I was ready for a change and came over here to Jayco and just fairly recently appointed vice president of marketing for Jayco.
Well, Jayco is such an iconic brand. It's been out there. A lot of the thing I love about the way we do the show is we all know that 50% of the buyers the last 2 years are new buyers, never had RVs, never went to campgrounds. They don't have an appreciation for Jayco that you and I have. So give us a little bit of Jayco's history.
Sure, absolutely. Jayco was founded about 54 years ago in a chicken coop here in Middlebury, Indiana, not too far from where I'm sitting, by Lloyd and Bertha Bontrager. Lloyd was tragically killed in a plane crash years ago, and his wife Bertha then took over as chairman, and then ultimately his two sons, Wilbur and Daryl Bontrager, then entered the business, and until very recently were involved in the day-to-day, now more kind of on the consulting and kind of they're not here day-to-day as much, but they definitely are here from time to time. They were just here on Friday. We just had our national sales manager for Jayco's 40th anniversary, Dave Esch. So Wilbur and Daryl were here for that, and then Wilbur was over last week at the Integra Coach owner's homecoming. So we see them quite a bit, but not as much day to day. They're taking a little time to relax, which after all that time, they deserve it.
Yeah, well deserved. That's right. Jayco's a family of 4 companies now. Why don't you step us through in any order that you want, but tell people what Jayco brings to the marketplace today.
Absolutely. So now, Jayco has grown over those 54 years. So we are a family, as you said, of 4 companies, Jayco being one of them, Integra Coach, Highland Ridge RV, and Starcraft RV. Our president is Ken Walters. So he oversees all 4 of those companies. We have 3 different manufacturing sites. Primary one is here in Middlebury, Indiana. Here at our Jayco campus, we produce most of the units, including Jayco and Integra motorized, and then Jayco towables, and then also we will do some Starcraft and Highland Ridge towables. Then over in Shipshewana, Indiana, which is in the county over from here, is our Highland Ridge campus. So a lot of the Highland Ridge product are made over there. And then we have Twin Falls, Idaho, where we make a lot of towable products that are shipped over to the West Coast. So to kind of cut down on transit time and shipping and so forth, and to be able to serve our dealers out west, we're able to ship from from Twin Falls. So have those brands produced here. And then Jayco, is everything from small micro travel trailers all the way up to large luxury fifth wheels, also small class V vans, all the way up to class A gas, and we do have a diesel version of Jayco. Integra, everything from class B and class C gas, class A gas, all the way up to very luxury diesel pushers. And then Starcraft, typically just travel trailers. We do have one fifth wheel, the Telluride, and then Highland Ridge, both travel trailers and fifth wheels.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is.
As we come out of the 2 years of COVID, and we might be getting back to a little bit more of a normal year in the RV industry, what are you seeing, and how has it changed Jayco the last 2 years in light of the number of new buyers, the number of new first-time buyers, the product selection? Give us an idea of what the thought process was and how you responded to that.
I think one of the things with Jayco that we've always said is that quality is, definitely our number one. So again, I go back to our president, Ken Walters, who says, that there's three things we really focus on, and quality is that first thing that we really talk about. So making sure the quality of our products is there. We continue to improve that. We continue to increase what we're doing in terms of PDI, pre-delivery inspection. So making sure that even before it arrives to the dealer, that it's top quality. So quality is number one. We're also really looking closely at those buyers. So, I'm personally one being a little more old school, where I say, even though that median age of a consumer, might be dropping a little bit, we never want to take our eye off of those people who are their fourth, fifth, sixth round of a Jayco or Integra or whatever that may be. We want to make sure that we're catering to our repeat buyers as well as those new entrants. So we're never going to just shift and say, oh, a lot younger buyer, so we're just going to change our whole product line. No, we have a very wide array of products. So we have that depth and breadth to be able to take care of not only new customers, but also make sure that we're taking care of the people that have been there. But I do see, if you look at our product line, you'll see a lot more Class Bs coming into the market. So that van life, and you're going to see even more into our 2023 models from the Class B arena. So adding more, smaller motorized, very, lithium energy heavy, very solar heavy, very, 4x4 heavy, being able to kind of go off road and boondock is big. And then we're also looking at smaller travel trailers. So you're seeing, a lot of like the Jake Feather Micro or the Range Light Air, or some of these smaller travel trailers that we have that, are able to be towed by smaller, you don't have to have a large truck to pull it. You could pull it with a larger SUV or even a smaller SUV in some cases. So making it, able for those new buyers to really gravitate to this industry, and then also making sure that our existing buyers are taken care of, and we continue to innovate and increase our quality in the products.
It's a good strategy, a good plan. And one of the other pluses for Jayco, because you've been out there for over 50 years, you have some dealers, many that have been with you for the whole time. You got a real strong connection between the manufacturing process of Jayco and their brands and the dealer community. A lot of companies don't have that. Speak to that a little bit and why that's so important to you.
Absolutely. We talk about, the Jayco family, and the Jayco family, isn't just the Bontraggers, or it isn't just, our family of 4,500 plus people that work here at Jayco. The family goes into the dealers, and it also goes into our owners. So we have this long, or this wide family here at Jayco, and those dealers, it is different than a lot of other manufacturers, in that we have over 100 exclusive Jayco dealers. So they don't sell anything but Jayco products. We also, we're just looking, so every year we have what's called Jayco Homecoming, and Jayco Homecoming is where we bring our dealers in, we show them new product like 2023 product. And what we'll do is we'll award tenure for those dealers. And I just looked at the list, and it looks like we have 3 dealers that are over 50 years that are receiving awards this year. So that just gives you a little idea. And we do have some that are older than those 3 we're giving awards to, but that's just this year that are at that 50-year point. So pretty impressive that we've had these relationships, and that allows us to, work together to find the best way to do business with the owners, to provide the right product. We also have different groups that we bring in. So we have different dealer groups that look at our product and give us input. And those are dealers that we've had on board for 30, 40, 50 years. So we get that feedback right from the front line, and that helps to really tweak our product offering and make sure we're doing the right things.
I think that's a tremendous story. And just to jump back on that, over 100 that are exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
If you took everybody else in the RV industry, everybody else other than Jayco, you probably don't have 100 dealers that are exclusive to any one product line.
Right.
That takes it out of the realm of vendor and dealer to a true business partnership, because you're going to get the feedback faster. You're going to get a lot more honesty and integrity about what that whole business process is when you've done business with people over such a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, look at, that, and these awards for the dealers are fantastic. So we're going to wrap up here, but our guest this morning has been Trey Miller, VP of Marketing for Jayco, known Trey for over 20 years, and great to see you again. Any last words for our fans at all, Trey?
Just, so good to see you, Bob. So good, to be able to spend some time with you and chat. I think we're both so very busy that it takes something like this to get us to take some time to catch up.
That's the truth.
So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you having me on, and thank you all so much. Really.
All right. Take care, Trey.
Thanks, Bob.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Camp Report Show. My name is John DePietro. And you know what, folks? It's just about 2 years now since COVID has hit. And what it has done is totally thrown everybody's world upside down. It has created opportunities for the RV industry and RVers like never been thought of in marketing studies prior to COVID, that so many new people would be entering the RV lifestyle. And one of the reasons that people are now entering the RV lifestyle at a younger age than retirement age is that they can now take their business on the road. And with me today is my new good friend, Stuart Takahara. And Stuart joins us today from Arizona. But Stuart, you're basically homeless.
Yeah, I am. I mean, my RV's my home, but it goes wherever I want it to go. And I don't even have I know a lot of full timers have a home base. I don't even have that. I just go wherever I need to go.
Stuart, there's a lot of people that say that I see these little not brochures, but little knickknacks that somebody gave us one I saw the other day. It says, home is where you park it. Mm-hmm. And it gives you so much flexibility. And if you go to your website, which is called claimthevision.com, which is, I want you to tell me how you got that name in just a minute. Okay. But you see some of the exciting places that you've been. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you were able to hit the road and still be a viably employed person with an income?
Well, my background is in marketing. So I spent a lot of years in corporate marketing and stuff. And then I finally got out of that. And I bought a couple businesses. I was based in Long Beach, California. And those are brick and mortar, physical people come to your business and buy stuff. So it was a kind of an anchor for me for a long time. Then when COVID hit during 2020,
Yep, 2020.
2020, one of my businesses actually got shut down as part of that. One of them was able to stay open as an essential business, which was good. But during that time when I didn't have much going on, I ended up buying a camper van, a little Class B camper van, and just kind of going out and exploring, because they say that was one of the best things that you can do, was just be outside and kind of get away from the downtown, like where I was at in the urban area. So I was doing that back and forth. Things opened back up again. And I was like, I kind of really enjoyed this whole life. And I made that transition probably within about 3 or 4 months to say, you know what, I'm going to restructure my businesses here. I'm going to move out of the condo and I'm going to go buy a rig and go full time. And I did all that probably just within about 3 months.
Well, so you had an accelerated plan, Stuart.
Yeah. I've met a lot of people and they say they plan for years. And I was like, really?
That was the condo one you owned or one you rented?
I owned one. I sold it and I was renting at the time where we were doing that.
So you were able to make the break. Go ahead.
Quick. Yeah. But for me, I was planning on moving out of that area to begin with. But I didn't know where to go. That was my whole thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do next or where I wanted to go. And things just kind of fell into place, which was really nice. Everything just seemed like this really natural transition from one to the other.
So RVing, did you ever RV as a kid? Where did you come up with that?
I went camping a lot as a child. Camping. I didn't, camping more so, in tents and, car camping and stuff. Not really RVing. I remember when I was younger, though, my grandparents did have a motorhome, but that was theirs. For family reunions, when we went camping, they would bring it out, but, never really RV'd like what I'm doing now.
So how did you go about, Stuart, finding the first unit that you bought, which you said was a Class B? What was the brand and what was the type?
That was a Coachman Beyond. It was a 22-foot Class B camper van. And I picked that one out just ideally because of the floor plan and just because of availability. During that time in 2020, there was nothing available. You can order something and it'll still be a year out. But this one happened to be on the lot.
And you bought it new?
Yeah. And it just happened to be all the pieces just kind of fell into place there.
Okay. So you hit the road. How far did you go? Because I know that on your website, it says 14 months on the road and 16,000 miles traveled.
So far, yeah.
That's quite a bit. Have you stayed primarily on the West Coast or have you ventured out to the Northeast?
California, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, Kansas, Iowa. Mostly on the West. I went up north to Idaho for a little bit, Colorado for a while, Nevada. So mostly on the West Coast. But this year I'm trying to go east after this. Okay. I'm in Tucson right now. And then I have tickets to go to Memphis in May. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I'll be there for that month. And then Nashville I want to check out. And then from there, this is the one thing about traveling, right? I have reservations to be in the DC area for the 4th of July, but you just never know what might happen between now and then. So
exactly. Well, you know what? And especially today's political climate with this war, as we tape this in, first week of March, as we tape this, who knows what's going to happen, I guess. But let me ask you that question. Are your travels going to be dependent upon the price of gasoline?
Me?
Diesel,
I'm not planning on going back to California anytime soon. But because their prices are insane right now. They're the highest, everywhere.
Yeah.
But no, I hadn't really considered that as being a major factor on where I go and don't go.
Okay.
The cost of gas is the cost of gas. You kind of have to budget for fluctuations and all that. But the good thing about RVing, and if you want to talk about like the budgeting, is if it gets a little too high and you are kind of hitting that top end of the budget, it's really easy to cut that out by just staying in another spot for a few extra days or another week. Or and with technology nowadays, with the apps where you can look at gas pricing, you can, if you are careful, you can strategize where you're going to get gas, where you're not going to. I remember I was leaving Palm Springs and I was going to Quartzsite in January, and I was like, I'm not getting gas in Palm Springs anymore. It was like $5.40 a gallon.
Yep.
And I was like, I got to get to Quartzsite, and it was only like a 3-hour drive. And and my light came on, and you're going up through these hills and you're sweating. And you're like, I just got to get to Arizona, where gas was like $3.49.
The other side of those mountains. So yeah. Let's go back to my original topic, because I have a tendency to go off course, but the beauty of RVing is that you can go off course. You don't have to follow that interstate highway system. You can go off course. But how did you go about creating an income on the road?
So I was lucky enough to have those businesses that were generating an income already. Mm-hmm. When I left, I just had to restructure the business and had to pay out a little more to managers to take care of the day-to-day. That was fine, but I knew that I couldn't do that forever. So when I left full-time, I put those businesses on the market to sell. It took about a year to get both of them done. And one of them just closed this week in escrow. So that was an ongoing thing. But for me, it was a lot of remote work. I knew that I couldn't sustain that. I knew I had to find something in my wheelhouse that would allow me to do remote kind of work, because doing the YouTube videos and all that, I mean, it's fun and it's great and it keeps my skills sharp, but it does not pay the bills. It doesn't even pay partially, it's
YouTube videos. Revenue from YouTube videos is kind of a fairy tale.
Yeah. And then you go, oh, well, there's sponsorship opportunities, but you got to get in the tens of thousands of subscribers to have anything meaningful. And building a YouTube business is just like building a regular business. You're going to put in a lot of work for no return for a long time.
For a long time until you get that magic explosion.
Yeah. And then it kind of just starts to snowball, and then it gets easier and easier. But you can go 2 or 3 or even longer years before you start to see the fruits of your labor in starting a YouTube channel. And I think that a lot of people say, oh, I'll just make money from making videos. And you can, but you're talking like $20-$30, you're not a month. You're not talking about anything that is livable.
So are you still, do you still have revenue from the sale of your businesses that you're able to live off of, or do you have a new source now that is providing income for you?
In December, I was lucky enough, right place, right time. I was lucky enough to purchase an online business called Full-Time Freedom Week. And they've been doing this since 2018. And it's an online virtual summit that teaches everything about RVing, how to RV, how to find remote work. When we're rebranding it, I talk about like everything from a year out to a year in. So when you're going through that planning process and you're trying to decide, what am I going to do with my house? Am I going to short-term rent it? I'm going to long-term rent. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to keep it, to buying the rigs, to what are we going to do with the kids, the families, the dogs, the cats, the pets. And then, going through the buying process, what to do before you buy, what to do the day that you buy your rig, what to do, the first week, the essential supplies. And then after you're gone, for the next year, about finding community on the road, finding connections, how to be able to, find those campgrounds and all that. So that's the vision of what Full-Time Freedom Week is about. And I've taken all of those videos and put it into a program called rvdreaming.tv. And that's going to be launching in April alongside with the Full-Time Freedom Week when we do that. It's all of the, sorry, I don't mean to be selling or anything, but.
No. I mean, the whole point is people, my promotion of this video is about a young person who left the corporate world behind and is now enjoying his life. And you can see the smile on your face, Stuart. You can see the smile in all your videos, especially the one when you were down, assisting at Albuquerque at the balloon.
Oh yeah, the balloon fiesta.
The up and away, the balloon festival. But you made a giant leap from a small class B to a super C. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the research that you dealt with to come to the conclusion that's what you wanted to buy.
Well, when I was going through the buying process, again, we were right into COVID, and I heard horror stories about how long it takes mechanics to work on your rig. If you're in a Class A diesel or something like that, it's a very special. They're booked 3 months out or whatever. And for me, as a solo full timer, one of my biggest fears was being stuck on the side of the road in some.
About the two cats.
Yeah, I got two cats around here somewhere.
Okay.
I think that happened. But yeah, that was my big fear, is being stuck on the side of the road somewhere, getting towed to a garage and not being able to move for 2 or 3 months because of I can't find a mechanic. And so I kind of shied away from the Class A's just because of that.
Yep.
That was one of my big fears. And then I looked into the C's, and then I found these Super C's. I didn't even know what those were before. But mine's on a Freightliner chassis, which is great because it's very easy to work on. Parts are plentiful. You can go to any truck stop to get any sort of repairs or maintenance done. So that was like a huge.
And the hood is exposed, just like a regular truck.
It's just like a regular truck. So you can change your own oil, you can maintenance everything, parts are available. You just lift up the hood and everything is right there. And so for me, that was a big peace of mind issue to know that if the worst happens, I get stranded somewhere, that anyone, even like, I think it's TA, the truck stops, or one of them has like mobile mechanics and trucks that will come out to you wherever you are. And so that was like a big thing to me. Then there was a safety issue. Obviously, they say that Super C's or C's in general are safer in a front end crash than a Class A because you have the engine. You're not, right there. There are trade-offs though. Like I'm in a 40-foot, but a big chunk of it is really not usable because it's where the cab is and the engine. So you're kind of shorter on space. So there are trade-offs. And if I was traveling with people or I had more mechanical skills, I'd consider, a Class A to pick up that extra space. But just being me, it wasn't, it was a good trade-off in my situation.
Cool. Well, that's great. And you know what? The amazing thing is, with an interview like this, you try to keep it at the right point where people will listen, but don't have to listen for a long time. And we are out of touch. Not out of touch. We're out of touch. Isn't that Hall & Oates song? I'm out of touch. I'm out of time. Something like that. But we are out of time right now. So full-time Freedom Week is going to be available soon online.
It's April 18th to 22nd.
Okay.
And and the website is, I'm not sure when this is going to be on, but the website will be up any second now. We've got our lineup. We have 25 great speakers that will be participating. We have a panel of brand new full-time RVers. I put together 2 sessions of about 8 brand new RVers that have been full-timing for less than 3 months. And we're creating this reality versus expectation.
Wow. Hey, that's a great one. Yeah, because the people that come in just with blinders on, not realizing the pitfalls of, in these last couple of years with so many new RVers, I know a lot of people at the dealer end of it that have new RVers come in and didn't realize that they had to empty those things called black tanks. Then they had all these red lights up on their dash. Saying, hey, what do I have to do here? Well, that's the glamorous part, Stuart, of RVing, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, someone's got to do it.
So people can check you out at claimthevision.com.
Yes.
And then a couple of your businesses will be available a little bit later. And we want to thank you so much for sharing your story with our viewers that include longtime RVers, but more and more are including people that are just getting going in the RV industry. So, Stuart, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.